Generation Y are the generational cohorts from around 1981 to around 2001. Don't get too hung up on the dates because everybody says that they're different. The important thing is that every generation will be influenced by what happens around them, the environment, school, education, their parents, and in the case of Generation Y, the biggest influence has been technology. If you take the two key influences on Generation X and Generation Y, they will be parental, educational, and the second one will be technology. And whereas Generation Y will use technology for fun and to spend time, Generation X will use it to save time. So they'll do internet shopping and they'll use email, but they won't be constantly on social media, for example. Generation Y grew up with parents who told them they were fabulous, they could do anything, they were very nurtured, whereas Generation X were the divorced generation, they were left to fend for themselves and get on with it. When it comes to school, Generation X were in a competitive environment, Generation Y were told they were fabulous and everybody won a certificate or a trophy for everything. So you can see how the two of these generations could end up in conflict when they're in the workforce. Generation Y, although one wouldn't want to generalise too much, are quite often very optimistic, they want to do well, they want to be promoted quickly, they think that everybody wants to know their opinion from the chairman to the CEO downwards, and that's great. You know, you've got to embrace these things, you can't just think, oh, it wasn't like that in my day. But you do need to manage these expectations. So the most important thing one can do with Generation Y is right from interview stage, tell them how it's going to be and keep reminding them how it's going to be, because they need to be moulded and shaped, but you must also respect that they have a very different view of the world, and that's very healthy. If you want to get the best out of your Generation Y people, the thing to do is treat them with respect. Treat them like adults. Expect to listen to them, expect to give them a lot of feedback, expect to set the ground rules. I have a thing that's called freedom within a framework, where that people can be themselves, but there have to be a few rules. But don't overdo it with the rules because they'll just rebel. Make sure that they have someone to speak to, have mentors, buddies, that they can always come up with their ideas and let you know about them. And if you can't take them forward, explain why, don't just ignore them. When managing Generation Y in the workplace, it's really important to set them challenges and give them support. So push them out of their comfort zones. Sometimes they find it very difficult to make decisions, for instance, because they're used to going on their Facebook and asking 500 people, and now here they are in the workforce where they've got to make a decision on their own. And so let them do it, but make sure they have support and put them in really strong teams and encourage the teams to talk. Because quite often they're sitting in their bedroom talking to their friends, they're not used to being face-to-face in a group. So communication is a really big issue, and employers really need to think about how they're going to handle that with Gen Ys. When thinking about Generation Ys beginning to rise up the ranks and be embedded within the organisation, current leaders need to think about how they're going to involve their businesses. Things cannot stay the same, and if you manage the Generation Ys in the right way, you will learn from them just as they will learn from you, and that will help you to shape your organisation for the future. It's really important to think about more flexibility, more home working, less hierarchical structures, more team collaboration. And if organisations do this and work together, then I think there's a really bright future for Generation Ys in the workplace.